Okay, so I'm gonna make this really brief, or I'm trying to try to make it brief. The system is a tiny bit confusing, so it will take a little minute for me to go through everything, but I feel like we can hit the important stuff at least fairly quickly. I'm gonna switch over to my account so I can access the Halo test game, and we will be on our way. Fuck, I forgot how to pause. Okay, it has finally loaded, so let's get started. So the character system, the character sheet looks daunting at first. It looks like it's going to be a one massive spreadsheet, and it kind of makes the game look unfun to play. But I promise you, it could not be any more simpler. So up here is we're gonna kind of work it down top to bottom. So first up here we got just general information. This stuff isn't very needed or useful. It's just so much of housekeeping. I mean, keeping track of certain things. Obviously we have character name, we got player name, faction. These two are kind of unimportant. Maybe you should maybe fill that out. But yeah. Whenever you're playing a game of Mythic, everyone's going to be playing under the same faction. But in this instance, everyone inside of the our team over here is going to be part of the UNSC, except for this person who is a part of ONI. But that doesn't really matter. It's just flavor. Soldier type, just housekeeping, because soldier types are like stat blocks that you kind of start out with for being a character. I'm going to take up the Spartan 3 one because that is who we're looking at today. They're just kind of stat blocks to kind of, make sure you can look back to look at what you're doing. You probably shouldn't have to fill that out 9 times out of 10, but it's just good to have it filled out. Make your thing look full and pretty. Rank is actually kind of important. So in this game, it's military ranks basically, and your rank equals to the amount of supply points that your character has access to at the start of every mission. We're not going to be really worried about that right now. I'll get more into supply points later, but that's just that's what ranks are. Build and size, that's just general information. You don't really need to know it. All you really need to know is the build, which is large. Specialization. So, whenever you are creating a character in Mythic, you're going to choose a specialization. This is essentially kind of like a pseudo class that you're going to be picking. And all it's going to do is it's going to give you training in different skill sets, and I think it's going to give you some abilities too. It's going to give you some abilities. But that's really it. It's not really that, you don't have to write it down if you don't want to. It's not going to be the end of the world. Typically, you only choose one. However, if you talk to your party, you can convince one of them to, if your DM allows it, to take either the commander specialization as a secondary, and as well as the... Oop, that's the wrong character. Take the commander specialization and as well as the... Well, he's supposed to have the medic specialization, but I didn't put it on there. But also the medic specialization. These are just kind of like bonuses. It's limited to one person per party to have these, so there can only be one commander inside this squad. But that's fine. It doesn't really matter. It's mostly just flavor, housekeeping, so that it helps you keep track of where you got all your shit. Gender doesn't really matter. Race, typically everyone's going to be playing the same race, and when you're playing a game of Mythic, everyone's either probably going to be human, or everyone's going to be Ungoi, everyone's going to be Sangheili. That's not always the case, but again, it doesn't fucking matter. You should know what you're playing whenever you make your character. Upbringing. this is kind of important. These three over here, upbringing, environment, and lifestyle, these are a little important, but not really. These are just housekeeping things that help you keep track of what you've done during character creation. At character creation, you're going to choose one upbringing. It's going to change your starting stats a little bit. You're going to choose one environment. It's going to change your starting stats a little bit. And then you're going to choose 3 lifestyles that will all impact your starting stats. That's all it is. In this case, because we have a Spartan 3, you weren't allowed to choose upbringings. You were given these 2 though. So it doesn't really fucking matter. But again, you don't gotta write it down, but it's good just to kind of keep in memory. Moving on to your stats. So it is important to know that Halo Mythic is a D100 system. What does that mean? So essentially what that means is you're going to be trying to roll a D100, and you're trying to get the lowest number possible. So let's say I was trying to roll strength. In this example, I rolled a 59. I got above a 53, which is bad, meaning I failed. And by the degrees I failed goes up 1 for every 10. Now there are like half fails, which you see here. They don't like they matter, but like not really. Like you're not really supposed to technically count like point failures. I just like to keep them in because it for like specifics. But that's really it. Don't worry about it. It's really simple. You're going to click these buttons. It's going to come up over here to say if you want a modifier of any kind. So say you got, I don't know, a robotic arm that's helping you lift up a truck or whatever. You're going to add plus 10 to that. Boom. This is a horrible example because he still managed to roll very low, but I mean very high, which is bad. But, you know, regardless, imagine if that was success. Woo, yay. However, say that you're trying to lift up a truck and your arm has been blown off. Well, you're only lifting a truck with one arm. You're probably not going to be very good at it. Yeah, go figure you failed horribly. Fuck you. But it's really simple. Strength is going to be, your strength stat. It's going to affect how well your melee is, and it's going to affect, like, if you're shooting heavy weapons, if you have to brace them, if how likely you are to drop a heavy weapon if you don't brace. That's basically it. It also affects carry weight. But yeah, toughness is your character's toughness, your constitution stat in D&D. It affects your health. Health is calculated by your toughness modifier, which is just the tens place. It's your toughness modifier plus your mythic toughness times 2 plus 40. So in this case, typically he would only have 48 wounds, but because he bought some shit with his XP, that he doesn't follow that rule. So fuck you. Next up is agility. It's agility. It determines how fast you can move. It determines how well you can dodge bullets, how well you can dodge like other people's knives if they're trying to stab you. That's really it. There's not much to agility. It's also the driving stat. So if you're like driving cars and stuff, you're going to be making agility checks. But that's really it. Warfare range is the shooting stat. I'm going to shoot my gun. I rolled a 12. That's 5.8 degrees of success. I hit. Oh no, I'm going to shoot, but I am missing an arm, so I'm not going to shoot very good. Oh no, I rolled a 26 because of my massive negative modifier, meaning I got 1.6 degrees of success, negative 1.6 degrees of success. I missed. Oh no. That's all that means. That's all it means. There's nothing to it. These bottom numbers down here, these are all the base stats. They get modified by different levels of training. Training isn't really that important in this game. Like it is in earlier levels, but for our example, it's not really that detrimental. Um, it's a cheaper way to increase your stats without having to spend a shit ton of XP on raw stat increases. Um, but like you can't sit here and take simple training 3 times to get 15 in it. You have to slowly build your way up. And then these numbers up here are going to be the actual modified numbers that you're like. This is representing your true stats. These are your base stats. These are your true stats after training has been applied. That's all it means. It's really easy. Once you get to playing the game, it'll all make sense. This one is your warfare melee. This is just about how well you can hit something, how accurate you are with stabbing someone with a knife. That's all it means. That's all it's ever going to do. Intelligence. Intelligence is like kind of like the wisdom stat in D&D. Sort of. Like, it's not... it's weird. A lot of the skill sets are going to use intelligence. But that's mainly because there are like copies of skill sets. All you really have to worry about is like it's intelligence is going to be like the making medicine checks. It's going to be for like dealing with technology. It's going to be for like navigating unknown territory, stuff like that. It's pretty simple. It'll be okay. Intelligence also affects how many educations you can get and how many languages you can learn. It doesn't just to know that the higher the modifier is, the more you can know. I don't necessarily remember the limit, but like you can learn I think about like 8 educations with a 4 modifier. It's fine. All educations do is they're like essentially think of it kind of like proficiencies in D&D, but they're like specific. So I guess think of them more like specialties in Vampire the Masquerade, where if you are doing something under like a specific way or some kind of specific category, you gain an additional bonus. So say Kale is trying to figure out some kind of legal loophole that he can pull to get around having to answer to a punishment because he didn't do the mission completely, and he wanted to take shortcuts to save lives. Well, then he would be able to roll faction law instead of just intelligence. Of course, in this instance, he failed. Again, he's a dumb fuck. But the vision's there. Next up is perception. All it does is it's going to determine how far your character can see. Kale has a perception of 55, meaning that he can see 110 meters away. That's more than far enough. I mean, I can keep going. Squares in this game, each one is 1 meter, typically. Whenever they're not, I'll let you know, or your DM will. But it's simple sugar. Simple sugar. Perception can also be used during certain abilities, whenever you're having to make checks for those. But like for most of the case, you can ignore it. It's just your sight stat. It's also technically for like if you're trying to see like hidden targets. It's perception. Come on, you've played D&D before. Next up is courage. Courage isn't really a stat that players have to worry about per se. It is more so a stat that kind of exists for like the NPCs. Like if a grunt sees their elite die, they have to make a courage check. Or if a marine sees half his squad get wiped out, he has to make a courage check. But like the only time courage is going to really matter for you guys or like players as a whole is when you are getting someone is taking a a suppressive fire action to have you pinned in cover. And I'll get more into that later. I doubt it will show up into the game, but you just like if you fail the roll, then you can't leave the cover that you're currently in. That's all that really matters. That's all that really. I promise you, it's so simple. It is so simple. Next up is charisma. Charisma is just your ability to talk. That's it. It's charisma. I don't need to explain it. Leadership It's like your character's ability to lead people, obviously, but this is also the stat that you might be using whenever you're trying to maybe rally up some people, which it could be leadership or charisma. These two kind of blend together. It's weird. But you could use leadership to rally up people or convince a group of Marines to go into a suicide mission and have their spirits high. Like it doesn't like it's more so just a role play thing. But that's all that this means. It's really easy. It's really simple. It's just you have to roll under this number, or I guess under these numbers up here. That's all it is. Now it's time to get down to the next part. Mythic stats. So mythic stats are like basically additional modifiers that your character gets on top of their base stats. These are automatically applied to everything on your character sheet, so you don't really have to worry about it. Just know that mythic strength is going to make you stronger whenever you are making melee attacks and whenever you are like trying to lift heavy shit. Toughness, mythic toughness, of course we already went over that. It helps your wounds go up, but it also relates to your unarmored damage toughness. I don't know why his armor value or her armor values got taken away, but it doesn't matter. And then we also have agility. This is just like additional modifier for your character. Mythic stats aren't really common in early games of play. The only reason why you guys are starting off with them is because you guys are Spartan 3s, and they start off with mythic stats. And they get even more mythic stats thrown on top of that due to their armor that they're wearing. But that's all it is. Character movement. There's different kinds of movement that you can take in this game. The main ones, though, are going to be your half move and your full move. Whenever you take a half... So actions in this game are divided into two halves. You have a half action, which is something that takes up half of your turn, and then you have a full action, which is something that takes up your full turn. I'm going to respond to these DMs. Okay, sorry about that. I responded to those DMs. But like I was saying, actions are divvied up into half actions and full actions. So let's say in this case, Kale is going to take his half action to move. So that means he's going to be able to move 10 meters uninterrupted. Boom! And now for his other half action... Let's say that he's going to shoot at the bad guys. Pew, 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 pew. Or she's going to shoot at the bad guys. Look, she shot the bad guys on her second turn, on her second action, on her half action. That's all that means. I don't know why her character sheet's going to hell. I'll fix it later. But that's all that means. So instead of just traveling a half action, she can also decide to she wants to spend her full action traveling. So this is going to double her movement, kind of like the bonus, kind of like an action dash in D&D. It's going to double her movement speed. There are different kinds of movements. Just essentially all you have to know is that these will take up either half actions or full actions. And when you take these, you're going to get negative modifiers on anything else that you do. So say you're going to try to take a charge roll. I think those have to be made directly towards an enemy, meaning you can move 30 feet towards an enemy, but you're going to be at like a disadvantage or whatever for certain things. It doesn't really matter. Those rolls don't happen often, and then whenever they do, it takes a quick glance at the rules to freshen up. I'm not going to go look back over it. I have other things to do tonight. But am I recording still? Okay, I am. But that's it. Sight, this is the perceptions that we talked about. No need to go over it. Weight, this is just how much you can carry, how much you can lift, and how much you can push. There shouldn't be anything to go over. This over here, it's what you're going to be rolling for initiative. That's all it is. That's all it is. You're going to click this button. Boom. Kale rolled a 16.7 for initiative. So if I pull up the turn order, boom, look at that. 16.7 on initiative. That's all it does. There's no need to be daunted by any of these. Don't touch these. It's fine. Don't touch these. These are different tabs that you can go through, kind of like in D&D, where you can like flip through your spells and your bio. That's all these are. Don't worry about it. These buttons over here are just kind of like settings that you can throw on to your character sheet. You don't touch these, it's fine. This is going to change your character sheet from a character sheet to an NPC sheet or to a GM sheet. Don't touch this, it's fine. Clicking this is going to make it so that whenever you roll, it's going to be privated to me only, or to your DM only. That's it. Don't worry about it. Don't touch that button. I don't know what it does. Wounds. Win over wounds. It's your health. If you go negative, your health. If you go negative of your max health, you're dead. So if you drop to 0 hit points, right, like this, you're knocked out. You're unconscious. Every turn that you stay knocked out, you will bleed out. You will take an extra d10 of damage for every turn you sit there bleeding out. In this case, Kale got a little unlucky, and she rolled a perfect 10, meaning that she's bleeding out 10 extra hit points. Eventually, if she just sits there and bleeds out long enough, or if she gets shot at while she's unconscious, she's going to eventually hit negative her max health. When this happens, she's dead. There's no coming back from it. There's nothing you can do. She's dead. That's all it is. Fatigue it works exactly how you would think fatigue works in D&D, kind of, not really. Fatigue is based off your toughness stat, so the higher toughness you have, the more fatigue points you can accumulate before exhausting yourself. Every time you accumulate a fatigue point, it is going to be like you're just going to be getting negatives on all the things that you do until you remove that fatigue point. You gain fatigue points by extraining yourself, by doing like really extraneous activities, like walking the whole day without taking any breaks. You're gonna get a couple fatigue points for that. You can waking up from cryo sleep. You're gonna get some fatigue points for that because your body has been at rest for like a month or whatever. But you can also remove fatigue points by just resting. Just taking time to sit on your ass and enjoy a nice turkey sandwich will clear your fatigue. Slowly, but surely. Luck in this game it's just you can re-roll. You spend a luck point and you re-roll your dice. That's it. These refresh, I don't know, I think they refresh at the start of every mission. So missions can be either 1 session or 8 sessions. Just keep that in mind. S points are your supply points, or whatever. I think they're supply points, yeah. All these are, this is your character's ability to call in certain requisitions to obtain certain things. So, say you guys are in the middle of like a city or whatever, and you gotta drive across the city. You gotta get there really quickly to save an important character. Well, none of you guys have a car anywhere. None of you guys have a warthog, and there's Covenant lining the way there. So what do? You spend your supply points to call in a tank. A pelican comes down. It drops off a tank for you guys, and you take the tank all the way over to save the thing. That's all it does. They're just requisition points that you can call in to get different things at different times. You can call it in to get some more like marine support if you guys need some more men on the field. They can be used to buy weapons, or like ODST drop pods. It can be even used to buy additional Spartans to be temporarily deployed at your position. Just everything costs different amount of supply points. And now do note that you're not always guaranteed your supply points. You are never, they can just not be used. If the comm systems are down, then your DM has every right to say, no, you can't use your supply points to call in a nuke. Fuck you. However, I plan on running my supply points a little bit more like Bazaar points. I'll get over that, though, whenever we do start playing the first session. Moving on, we have the damage resistance. I don't know why this armor value's changed. It should be like this. But damage resistance it's just essentially your armor stat. That's all it is. Whenever you have armor equipped, like what Kale has over here, he has Commando Mjolnir armor. So that's going to give him these armor statistics. And all armor does is say, oh no, I don't want to do that one. Oh no, Kale is being shot at by this elite. The elite's gonna roll to hit. Oh no, the elite rolled a successful hit inside of Kale's chest. That means, and Kale, I'm not gonna roll it, but Kale failed his dodge roll, or maybe he has accumulated. He's already done so much dodging that he can no longer dodge, because he has like a minus 60 to his roll or whatever, meaning that whatever he does is an automatic fail. So let's say we're in a situation. He got hit, and now he's gonna have to take some damage. Well, he got hit in the chest. So what that means is we're going to first look at the piercing the piercing damage. So we're gonna look at his chest armor because he was hit in the chest, and it's going to be 19. So currently, as it stands, we're going to subtract 19 from 28. That's going to leave us with that's going to leave us with 9, right? That's going to leave us with 9. Then afterwards, because there is more armor left over, the attack did not pierce, meaning that whenever this elite has shot at Kale, it's not going to go through and hit anyone else. It's just hitting Kale. And then on top of that, we have the damage numbers. So we're going to subtract 20 from 9. So 20 is a little bit bigger than 9. So that's going to... instead what we're going to do is we're going to take 20 and subtract 9 from it, giving us 11. So that's going to be 11 damage that actually fully transfers over to Kale onto her health. It sounds complicated in practice, but I promise you, once you get the ball moving and you play it, and you play like a round or two of combat, it all becomes second nature. It's really easy. Shields are essentially like a secondary health bar. They don't get the benefit of being reduced, of having any kind of damage reduced to them. So, say in this instance, this elite shot and Kale gets hit. So that's going to be 19. So we're not going to look at where the hit location is. We're just going to see that he hit and Kale failed to dodge. So we're just going to go straight to the numbers. We're going to add these two numbers up. That's going to be 39. We're going to subtract 39 from Kale's shield. And now Kale has 86 shield. That's all shields are. They're just a secondary health bar that's it. Now, the shields also recharge. So the delay number, what that means is that Kale will have to stay in cover and avoid taking damage for 3 turns. So say that during combat, Kale gets hit and she loses 39 shield. Kale's player is a little antsy about taking any more damage, because she sees that someone else, that maybe there's like an elite over here that has like a really powerful sniper rifle or whatever. Kale doesn't feel like getting hit with that and wants to be fully prepared and fully armored when that shot goes off inevitably. So what she's going to do, she's going to take cover behind like a rock or whatever, and she's going to sit there for 3 turns. And on the 4th turn, she's going to start regenerating her shields. Now, I don't know why the shield stats have been all fucked up on the character sheet, because I have not touched them. But in this case, the recharge rate is 25. So, on the 4th turn, Kale's shield, assuming she has not taken damage for 3 turns, is going to go up by 25. The shield is going to slowly start regenerating up until it hits its max of 125. Now, once it starts regenerating, it regenerates every turn, and it halts its regeneration the next time you get shot. So once Kale sits there for 3 turns, on the 4th turn, she's going to start regenerating shield every turn until she takes damage. Now, if I was Kale in this position and my armor got and my shield got popped, I don't have any more shield. Instead of sitting there behind a rock like a bum for 3 turns, I'm going to try to find a way and how I can flank the enemy or get into a better position where I'm not going to be put in a situation where my shields are going to get popped so easily again. That's all it means, though. Shields are just a secondary health bar, and that it gives Spartans a little bit more survivability. Elites also have shields. Just keep that in mind. You're not the only ones who have shields. In fact, elites have better shields than you. Fuck you. They're also not the only ones that have shields either, because the jackals also have shields. They don't have body shields like you guys. They have handheld shields, but they still have shields. It works the same exact way. That's all it means. I'm gonna go and respond to these DMs again. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Anyways. Next, moving on is to the skill sets. These are just skills like in D&D. They don't really mean anything. There's 3 tiers to skills. You have training, which is the equivalent of proficiency. It gives you a +5 anytime you make that skill check. There's +10, which is like like semi-training, like you are trained, you know how to do it, and you're a little bit better than the guy who just came out of basic training. That's what a +10 means. +20 is like you are the master at this thing. You are the motherfucking GOAT. You have been studying this thing, or you've been training in this thing for a couple years. You know the ins and outs of how to be sexy in this case. That's all that means. Moving on, there are another things called advanced stats. Essentially, whenever you don't have training in an advanced stat, instead of just rolling your stat, you're actually going to get a minus, I think, 20, if you're not trained in it. So, as you see right here, Kale's not trained in human medicine. However, they're going to be rolling. They have to roll a 2 or lower in order to successfully make a human medicine check. However, once they become trained in it, they get their modifier back. Yay! So now they have to roll a 42 or lower, and then it just get a same thing. It kind of goes up, but that's it. Moving on to educations. Educations are essentially just kind of like how I explained it earlier. They're kind of more like specialties in Vampire the Masquerade. That's really all they are. There's nothing more to them. They cost. Sometimes they can give you bonuses. Like if you have martial arts, you can learn different like melee abilities to do more damage in melee or whatever. But that's like the educations come and go. They're either really useful, like martial arts, or they're stupid, like unimportant, like mathematics. A Spartan does not need to know how to do mathematics, or does not need education in mathematics, typically. Languages. I mean, you're understanding what I'm saying, so I don't feel like I have to explain it to you. Yeah. Abilities. This is just to keep track of your abilities. Fast foot ability. Boom. It's right here. What is that? Well, I don't have these written, but oh, look at that. Order of things. Boom. That's what that does. What is Grand Entrance? That's what Grand Entrance is, bitch. Oh yeah. They're kind of like the characteristics, or not characteristic, whatever you get on the like the traits and stuff on D&D character sheets. They're kind of like those. But sometimes they can give you like cool abilities, like different melee attacks. Pretty awesome. But that's just the main page. And I know it was a lot. I know this video's been kind of going on for a little bit long, but we're almost done. This was the main bulk. You're almost there. Moving on to equipment. So This is what it's going to look like whenever you change screens. It's going to be the same, but just like the meat and potatoes is going to be a little different. So on the equipment screen, on your under range weapons, you're going to see the name of the weapon, which is just this is the name. It's the name. What kind of gun do you have? Then you have the type. This is not really important. You should know what kind of weapon it is just based off the stats alone. Or if you play Halo games, like the video games, you should know what you're holding 9 times out of 10. And even then, having the type dissertation written down isn't very important until it's like super specific times. But like that doesn't really matter. It doesn't come up often. The range thing. So there's going to be two numbers on the range. If you are shooting within 30 meters of a target, so say a target's within 20 meters of you, it is considered close range. This same thing applies down here. If you are shooting at something that is within 5 meters, you are considered within close range. What that means, if you are shooting something at close range, you're just going to get a big old bonus to your shooting. That's all that does. Now, if you're shooting anywhere in between the 35 and 650 range on this weapon specifically, you're going to be shooting at what is known as long range. You're going to not get any modifiers, but you also don't get any downsides. Think of this kind of like the optimal range that your gun can perform at. Well, I guess 35 would be the optimal range, but anything past that is going to require a little bit of skill on your character's hand. Hence why you would need a better warfare range. But once you start shooting at anything past 650 meters, you're gonna get a big fat negative. You're gonna get a big fat negative. And then throwing on top, right? Assuming that you can even see that far. You see, Kale over here, he can't even see that far, and he doesn't have a scope on his gun that increases his sight to allow him to see that far. So he's really not going to be able to shoot anything at this. He's going to be rolling like a massive negative 40 on his roll. So essentially just think of this like you don't want to shoot past this. You want to shoot under this, but you don't want to shoot past this. Damage roll, you roll for damage, that's it. Base, this is going to be the additional damage that is thrown on top of whatever you rolled. This is to help keep the gun somewhat consistent. The MA5K carbine isn't a very particularly deadly weapon per se. It's going to take a couple guns, to take a couple shots to kill something, but it still can do it. Pierce, its static number does not change. It just represents how well can something hit through armor. ROF, also known as rate of fire, is going to determine a couple different things. So, you have semi-automatic, which means in a half action, you can shoot that many times. So in this instance, as a half action, Kale can shoot her MA5K 3 times in a half action. Shoot, shoot, shoot. She shot 3 times in a half action. Woo, yay, she hit twice. That's all that does. Semi-auto shots also gain modifiers as well. Whenever you are aiming, it allows you to gain additional modifiers easily. Whenever you are aiming, you can get modifiers. If you have the gun mounted onto something, you can have a modifier, like a positive modifier. If you're crouched or prone and you have the gun propped up on something, you get a bonus, an extra modifier. It's all good shit. Auto fire, though, doesn't work that way. So what this number means is the amount of times you can shoot fully automatic in a full action. So, in this instance, it is an odd number. So what's going to happen is that for Kale's half action, she's going to shoot 4 times. And then, if she decides that she wants to keep holding down the trigger and wants to keep continuing full auto shooting, she will roll an additional 4 times, adding up to 9 in total. Now, automatic fire isn't really a great thing to do. You don't really get modifiers whenever like positive modifiers when you're shooting fully automatic. You typically only get negative ones. However, that's not the point of fully automatic. Fully automatic isn't designed to kill things per se, but it is more so to make something exhausted. If you sit there and you shoot at someone 9 times in the span of 6 seconds, that means they're going to have to dodge 9 bullets in the span of 6 seconds to not get hit. That's tiring. Every time someone goes to make a dodge roll, their roll progressively gets worse and worse because the negative modifier every subsequential dodge gets worse. So all the automatic fire is supposed to be is to make someone burn through their dodge rolls so that someone else on the team can take a good clean shot to hopefully kill the damn thing. Burst fire shots are my favorite. You roll once, and that number right there is going to determine how many damage dice you roll. So, let's say that I'm going to shoot at an elite. I only roll once, but whenever you burst fire, you get a plus 10 modifier to hit. Flat. That's just because you're shooting burst. I'm not aiming, I'm not doing anything else, I'm just shooting. But there is a downside whenever you shoot burst. Because it is only one roll, that means the target that is trying to dodge this attack will only have to make one dodge roll. So if you're shooting at a really unexhausted target, they have not made any dodge rolls this round, there's a pretty high chance if you try to burst fire it, they're not gonna go anywhere. They're gonna sit right there, and they're gonna go somewhere. They're not gonna sit there and take your bullets. They're gonna duck the fuck out the way. However, in the perfect universe, which we are somehow landed in, where Kale rolled a natural 1, they're going to do 3 damage dice. So that's first roll, second roll, third roll. Jesus, that is really bad. Come on. Regardless of how shit Kale rolled, we're going to... This is the amount of damage altogether from that one shot. Burst is really powerful. It is the kill option. Whenever you are shooting something with a burst, 9 times out of 10, you will kill it if it hits. If you don't kill it, you're going to do a lot of damage. Semi-automatic is going to be for picking off several weaker targets. Burst is going to be used for killing a weakened or exhausted big target. And fully automatic is going to exhaust big targets and is going to hopefully mop the floor of a bunch of smaller targets. That's all those things are. If you click this button, I have gone ahead and done the liberty of putting in any special rules or attachments that your gun might have. And if you have any questions about whatever attachments you have on your gun and what they do, feel free to ask me. I would love to help you. But that's all these are. You're going to roll this to hit, and you're going to roll this to deal damage if you ever have to roll any extra damage. But the damage roll is always automatically rolled, so the only time you're going to be hitting this button is if you do burst fire. Simple sugar. Now, moving on down here, I'm going to kind of skip the credit count because it's kind of confusing, and I don't really want to get into it right now because it doesn't really fucking matter. But equipment. So this is just the gear that you have. A lot of this is just bullshit. You don't really got to keep track of it, at least not for this game. But if you click this button, it's going to tell you exactly what the item is, if I felt like putting it in there. Hard cases are just storage items. You got one of them. It was free. That's all that does. Amount is the amount of something that you have. Value is the cost of that thing if you bought it. And then weight is how much it weighs. BP is breakpoints. So say this hard case is attached to Kale's leg, and that leg gets shot. If the the damage is going to also be shared to the hard case, meaning the hard case will eventually break. If it kind of acts like additional armor, but that hard case is also carrying like ammo and like the grenades probably. So if they lose that hard case and it breaks, all of their shit's gonna go out on the floor, and it's not gonna be fun. But I'm not gonna be worrying about that for this this multi-shot, so don't worry about it. But that's what all these are. If you want to know what they are, click this button. And if this button isn't showing you anything, like see right here, I didn't put anything in for utility webbing. Come over here, hit Control G, and search it up. Or just ask me. Over down here is armor permutations. Basically all it is if we'll say, because it's just what armor are you wearing. Kale is wearing Commando Mjolnir Mark V armor, therefore I put the Commando Mjolnir Mark V armor under the armor permutations. If you click this button, it's going to tell you what your armor does. I didn't put it in here for this one. I put it because it doesn't have anything really. It just gives you I think it's supposed to give you higher head armor. I don't know. I'll have to go check. Gotta have to fix this fucking character sheet. But it comes with this. If you have a question, just ask. But that's all this is. This is just the armor you have, and you click this to see any special abilities that might come with it. That's all it is. Melee weapons work pretty similar to ranged weapons. You get the name here, kind of melee weapon it is. If it gives you any additional reach, meaning if you can hit someone from 3 meters away, like that. If you can hit someone from over here, from where you're standing over here, that's what that means. The damage roll, same thing. Base damage, same thing. Pierce damage, same thing. The cool thing about melee weapons, though, is that they deal extra damage and extra strength extra damage and extra pierce based off your strength stat. Either half of your strength modifier or your full strength modifier is added. That's all that is. Moving on to medical. Don't worry about this really. Just know if you ever take a critical injury, you're gonna be getting one of these modifiers. And then it just helps you keep track. But we don't have to worry about that because I don't want to get into that right now. I will get into that when it becomes relevant in the game. Advancements is just keeping track of what you've spent your character's XP on. That is it. That costed 200, so I'm not do that. But yeah, that's all it is. It's to help you keep track of what you have spent your money on, or not your money, but your XP on. So at the start of character creation, they spent 1100 points to buy the ability to use Spartan 3, the Spartan 3 character creation sheet. That's all it does. And then they spent their XP buying more and more things. Oh, that's bad. They spent their time doing more and more. They spent their money getting more and more XP, getting more and more things to make their character stronger, better, more fleshed out. That's all it is. Faction training. Don't worry about it for this game because Spartans get faction and all factions and all weapon training because they're weapon experts. But essentially all you have to really for like other games, it's just keeping track of what kind of faction weapons you know how to use, and of those weapons, which ones can you use. If you are Marine, you probably know how to use the UNSC weapons, but you might only know how to use rifles and pistols, and you don't know how to use a rocket launcher. That's all that means. If you don't know how to use the weapon you're using, you get some negatives. This is just to help keep track of the base stats of what you got. This comes from the base of you guys being Spartan 3s. This is what Kale spent their points getting. This is what they got from their background. This is what they get from their armor, and this is what they get from their training for being Spartan 3. I'm going to move this intelligence because I don't like their intelligence being that high. I'm going to move it over here to charisma because I want their charisma to be a little bit higher. But that's it. And then abilities back here again. That's it. That's the whole character sheet. Journal is just to help you keep track of whatever you want. See right here, I have his name or her name wrote down. I forgot we changed the gender of Kale, but yeah. Again, I'm about to go back and fix all these because it's I don't know why it wants to falter on me, but yep, that's really much it. Vehicles, whenever I feel fit, I will add vehicle information into your stat block if you want to do it yourself. Just because if you plan on buying a Warthog sometime during a mission and you want to go ahead and look up what a Warthog stats are so you don't have to worry about me giving it to you later, go ahead and fill it out. But like this is it. And if I really what I'm going to be planning on doing so that you guys don't have to fill that kind of stuff out, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to give you access to the temporary access to the character sheet listed. The end. I know this video was a little bit long. Yeah, it's been an hour long. I'm really sorry it's this long. I kind of get sidetracked when I talked, but I'm really happy you guys made it to the end of the video. For my people who are going to be playing this game sometime soon, I hope this helps you guys not feel as intimidated when we're going to play this game, or this one-shot, or this three-shot at least. I hope this makes you guys understand a little bit more on how the combat works, how this system feels, and how this system's supposed to be played. This game is very tactical. It is very team-based. You guys are playing Spartans, so you guys are going to be able to do your own things and not have to rely on team play as much. But once the real campaign starts, 6 months from now or whatever, and you guys are playing Marines, you're going to have to kind of start using some of your team tactics a little bit more better. But I hope this video makes this spreadsheet-ass character sheet not look as intimidating as it seems. That's all I wanted to do. That's all this was supposed to be. If you have any questions, any further questions about anything, if you have any questions about how, deeper questions about how combat works, let me know. If you have any deeper questions about what different things mean, let me know. I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna fix some of these character sheets up before we play, so I make sure everything's ready to go. But yeah, that's everything. I hope you liked this video, and even if you aren't a part of my my D&D group or my tabletop group or whatever, I still hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and do all those nice things. Make that subscribe button gray. Hit the little notification bell. Where's the little hello neighbor gif? Yeah, do all those things. But that was really it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I helped. If you had any questions, let me know. Bye!